I'm going to start off by drawing an XY axis. Since it's a sketch, I'm not overly concerned about being super straight. So I have X axes, Y axes. I know that the period is 20, and I only need to do 2 cycles, so I'm going to mark 20 at the halfway mark. And then I'm going to say that this is roughly 40, and this is going to be 0. So this is one possibility. There are going to be multiple possibilities. The fact that the amplitude is 10, that means from the maximum value or the minimum value to the axis of curve, we have to have a value of 10. So I'm going to label this as positive 10, and then subsequently down here would be negative 10. Now, because the period is 20, that means one full cycle has to happen between 0 and 20. So I'm going to cut this in half. So if I'm drawing a sine curve, I know that the maximum will be here, and the minimum will be here. You could choose sine, cosine, doesn't really matter. I'm just choosing to draw sine. Whoa. Okay, so then I'm going to stop. Same thing in the center, and then the center again. I know that I'm going to have a maximum and I'm going to have a minimum. It's a little bit hard to freehand this using a mouse, but that's the best it is. Now, it's pretty jagged, but you get the idea how I use the period. I have 2 full cycles. So now when I state the domain, it's going to be 0 is less than or equal to x, which is less than or equal to 40. Because of the graph that I chose for my range, I know that negative 10 is less than or equal to y, which is less than or equal to 10. So that's my range. Now the x-intercepts, they are going to equal 0, 10, 20, 30, and 40. The min is at negative 10. The max is at positive 10. And then the sinusoidal axes in this example is equal to, actually let me undo that, it's not the axes, is at y equals 0. So that's what I'm looking for in that question. Another example would be one like this. So sketch a graph with the following characteristics. So a polynomial function with key features. So when it's telling me as x approaches infinity, y approaches negative infinity. So as x gets bigger in this direction, so it's going to be going downwards. When I look at this one here, as x goes to the negative value, it's also going down. Then it tells me there's 2 x-intercepts. So if I want to sketch a graph that fits this description, I have a value at negative 3, 4, 0, a value at 5, 4, 0, and since the end behaviors are going in this direction, this is what we will have. So when I state my domain, x will be an element of the reals. The range is going to be, when I look at it, I'm just going to make up a maximum value right now. I'm not worried about the exact thing. So I'm going to say that this value right here, it's between 5 and negative 3. So this is at about 5 plus negative 3 is, so it's at 1. And I'm going to say it's at 5. So I'm just arbitrarily stating that since it's a guess. So that means that my range is going to be y is less than or equal to 5. Now the y-intercept, this question right here, you would be estimating it. So I know it's a little bit less than 5. So again, there's multiple answers possible. The y-intercept would be at y, I'm going to say that it's at about 4.5. Now the min, there is no minimum value here because the graph keeps on going and going and going. So when we have a parabola, there is no min. And then the max is at y equals 5. You'll notice when you're doing your range for a parabola, it's based totally on what the max value is. Hopefully this helps you understand what I'm looking for. As you can tell, it's a sketch, so it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to have the general characteristics that are being listed.